feature presentation, what you've all been waiting for. The one and only world famous Hitchiti dance team will be performing for us tonight.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. What you're going to see now is called the Hitchiti Dancers. They're Venture Crew 157 out of Tequesta, Florida. Many different types of dances in Native American. It's not what everybody thinks. It's not just one culture. It's a multitude of cultures. And what we try to do is teach this multitude of cultures through the dance. What you're going to see now is an individual style dance. It's called a hoop dance. We're really not sure where it came from originally. A lot of tribes take credit for it. The boys and girls start out with 4 hoops, and as they get better, they progress. Man in the middle with the sticks, affectionately called devil sticks. These were not invented in Malibu Beach, California. They're actually been around for thousands of years. They've been a toy that used to teach dexterity in China as well as in North America and South America. What we've done is taken them and worked them into dance. You see Wyatt here is working the routine in using the sticks. Now if you watch the young lady and the young man, you'll see shapes, you'll see animals, a couple of things that were just unique to Florida itself. Until the mid 1970-75, hoop dance was specifically a man's dance until the young ladies broke into it. You'll find that they do better in some cases than the young men. Up by making her whirl. Finishes up Wyatt with the devil sticks. Before there's a powwow or a gathering, or before anybody can dance, the grounds are supposed to be blessed, and the blessing used to be done by a medicine man. Today we usually use our reigning chief or our reigning president of our venture crew. Today it's Connor. He's a grass dancer. The Native American believed that everything had a soul and everything had a spirit, and the whole world worked together. And if anything was out of sync, then life just wasn't going to go on like it should, and bad things happened. So one way that they brought the world together was through their dance. So before the dance started, it was up to the shaman, the medicine man, to talk to the god, talk to the spirits of the trees, the spirits of the earth, the wind and the sky. Let them know that they were doing homage, and make sure all was right. The step that Connor's doing right now is called a cripple boy step. The story is that the first grass dancer was a cripple boy. He could not dance. He would go out and he would try and he would try and he'd try. When he became a young man, about 14 or 15, the spirits finally had mercy on him and they healed him. And he started to dance and he became a great chief. It's one of the many stories about grass dancers. I think what the real original grass dancer was during World War I, they would go out and tamp the ground down, tamp the grass down so everyone else could dance. His outfit represents the prairie grass blowing in the wind. What he's just done is brought the north, the south, the east, and the west together. And now that all is in harmony, other dancers can come join him. Joined by another grass dancer. The Native American society, like most societies, are matriarchal, although most of the time nobody admits it. Women have a pretty good draw on what's going on and take care of everything behind the scenes. Well, that was the same thing with most of the indigenous tribes in this country. The young ladies weren't allowed to dance in the circle, but they did dance. They danced along the outskirts of the arbor, around the fire. Very stately step, looked kind of like they were walking, so they were trying to get away with it. They danced one to two together, talking about the deeds of the day, what was going on, tribal politics. This is what we call a traditional dancer, ladies traditional. We also have men traditional. There's two basic type of men traditional. You have a bustle dancer. This young man here represents a plains bustle dancer, a warrior dancer. Isaac's pretty traditional on his colors, with a standard white imitation eagle muscle, and the reds and the blues. They would tell stories about their battles, about the conquest and war. They were the warriors. You have the string dancers. They're a southern dancer, or the older dancers. They didn't wear a bustle, or they don't wear a bustle. They too, usually the older gentlemen of the tribe, they too tell stories with their steps and their dances. You see, Christian has what's called a drag. That's an otter drag. This is the dance that most of our young men start out with. Like everything else in society, the women's place in society changed, and so did their style of dancing. The young women took over the tribes, became the chiefs, became the leaders of their groups. They also wanted to dance fancy. So they developed their own style of fancy dancing. With the shawl dance, or the eagle dance. Young ladies' shawls represent the wings of an eagle. And last but not least, the young men of the tribe, the fancy dancers, the war dancers. The young men out to prove themselves. Flashy colors, exaggerated movements. This is highly competitive dance in today's powwow circuit. And when you put it all together, it's called a powwow, or poea, a gathering. These happen several times during the year. Normally our powwow season down in Florida runs from December to June. You go up to the Savannas and Fort Pierce, you go to Vero Beach, at the fairgrounds in March and April. In February, you'll go to a powwow up there. There's a Native American culture, isn't a was, it's an is. It's still alive, it's still growing, it's still changing. The outfits you see our young men and women wear today are really not traditional, they're more modern outfits, they're powwow outfits. And even in the last 10 years, they've changed. So this is not a dead society. And it's more than the casinos, the Hitchiti dancers. Again, like I said, the Native American is multicultural. Look at the Native American as Europe. Look at the Native American as Africa. How many different countries you have in there and the different dialects and the different languages. Well, the Native American is the same way in this country. They could live 20 miles apart from each other and not be able to communicate because they were a different tribe or a different group. The first group we're going to represent tonight are the Cherokee. This is out of Cherokee, North Carolina. This is a part of a pageant up there called Onto These Hills. It talks about the Cherokee people, and it goes basically from before their first influence and contact with the Europeans to the Trail of Tears, basically when they were driven out of the area and sent to Oklahoma. This part here is called Defend the Village, and it's before the white man got here, before the European got here. And it was a day like any other day. The men were out hunting. The women and young men were in the village doing what young men do. Supposed to be doing chores, but probably messing around more than anything else. The young ladies were taking care of the home tasks. But one young man was just kept in charge, and he had to keep an eye on things. And that day wasn't quite right. There wasn't something right. It just was too quiet. The birds along the outskirts of the village were really quiet, and he was getting nervous, but he really didn't want to send anybody to get help in because he didn't want to be made the fool of because he was extremely nervous. But he finally said, you know, I'm going to fail on conservative here, and he sent one of the guys out to get the hunters back. And he did it just about on time because they were under attack. The young men brought the members of the tribe into the middle of the village and prepared to protect themselves. Surrounded, they fought valiantly with bows and arrows. Dancers represent the returning members of the tribe. They've driven out the invaders, and they prepare to do battle with the invaders. They arm themselves with tomahawks and shields. And go out to the plain, out to the meadow, and face off with their enemy. First counting coup, getting as close as possible, touching their enemy without causing harm. Battle raged. One by one they dropped. Till there were only two. Both knew they had to fight to the death for the honor of their tribe. There could only be one. To him came the honor to dance. Dance the victory dance. What was left were the women of the tribe. They cared not for men's war or men's egos. Now they were left to pick up the pieces, to put life back together. As they crossed the field to identify and pick up the souls of their lost loved ones and try to rebuild what was left of life. There's also a belief among the Cherokee. He who has died in battle and fought valiantly will live again to dance with his relatives and all past warriors. Defend the village from Onto These Hills, Cherokee, North Carolina. We're going to do one more dance for you. It's a little bit lighter than this one. It comes actually from the Pueblo area. A lot of the dances we do for you are just sections of dances, little snippets of bigger performances, and not actually performances, of rituals or celebrations. Native American dances for several reasons. It's part of their religion. It's how they express themselves and their religion. It's also done for fun, and it's also done for telling stories. This next one is called the Deer and the Doe, and it's pretty universal. Some of you might have seen us do this before. It's part of a week-long ceremony. It involves two young men and a young lady. I guess you could call it the ultimate triangle. The young ladies, well, they're out in the menu. They're the does. They're not paying the least bit of attention to these young men, these young bucks. And they're both vying for the attention of the young lady. The young lady still doesn't really care much. And then they start getting a little rough. Girls think a little bit more about it. And as always, there's a winner and a loser. The winner gets the girl, and the loser limps off. Kiowa, Deer, and Doe. What we're going to do for you now is a group dance. It's actually, we'd like you guys to join us. Back in the day, back when everybody lived in the woods and nobody had automobiles or cars or anything, when you got together with your clans or with your families, it was usually a week or two week long type of gathering. Because it took you a week to get over there. You didn't go over see your uncle, have dinner, and come home. So everybody get together, and one of the first things they would do, so that everyone would gather together and get reacquainted, it's called a round dance. And it's a group dance, and it was to get everybody out there and get everybody reacquainted with each other. How this works, guys, all right, you need to pay attention. There's actually a step. You can't just run around in circles here, okay? There's a young man and a young lady in the middle. They're going to start out. When the young man passes the young man, the other young men start dancing, and when the young lady starts and she passes the young lady starts dancing. It's a circle dance. It's called a round dance. It's a very easy step. It's a side step. Like I said, this was the first dance of a gathering. This is very prevalent in the Cherokee culture. And it was to bring everybody together, get the family back together. There was also something else went along with this. They'd be dancing for the next week or two. But if you didn't dance in the first dance, and they caught you anytime during the 2 weeks dancing, they used to tie you to a pole, and that's where you stayed until the gathering was over. You were at the mercy of your family for food and water. So it always was good if you got up and danced the first dance, even if you only wanted to dance one more time in 2 weeks. And all you guys with your hands in your pockets, there's no pockets in a breech clout, so you have to have your hands outside. Make a big circle, guys. John Travolta, we don't need that. Thank you. Big circle, guys. You got all kinds of room out there. Open it up. Hitchiti, help these people out. Show them the step. Don't worry about the fancy step they're doing. They get a little bit fancy on you. You stick with the standard side step. And once the leader figured out that everybody was out there, he'd signal with his hand, and everybody would open up and make one big circle and take hands. This is one of the only dances that I know of. There's only a couple others where the dancers actually are allowed to sing also. Most of them are northeastern or eastern dances. This was the sign of unity. Everybody got together and grasped hands and became one again, became one family. And we got so many people we can't even dance anymore, huh? Great, thank you very much. Welcome to our family. Now I guess we don't have to worry about tying anybody to a pole tonight. All right, next dance we're going to do for you is from the Pueblos again. It's you'll see a little European influence here. It's a courtship dance. We ready, guys? Again, it's a courtship dance. It's done with multiple groups. We're going to do just one group for you tonight. It's called a sash dance. It's from the San Domingo Pueblo. See, this is only done with 3 couples. You ought to see it with 6, 10, and 12 couples. Now comes the difficult part. The young men improvise different techniques for weaving together the ribbons. We're using a simple method tonight. And then it's up to the young ladies to figure out how to unwind it. Sash dance from the San Domingo Pueblo. Okay, I guess it's getting a little late. We're going to have to wrap it up here in a minute. We're going to do one more dance for you. This is one that we've done, well, ever since we've had young ladies involved. We close most performances with it. It's called social dance, or rabbit dance, 2-step. It's a couples dance. It's follow the leader. It's a very modern dance to some degree because it's done routinely at powwows. And here we go. There's a neat story about the step here. We're not sure how true it is. It's said that up in upstate New York in the Six Nations, a Mohawk chief had gone out to battle and got wounded. And he really liked to dance. So as soon as he could walk, he could get kind of ready to walk, he went out to dance. Well, he danced with a limp. Well, so he didn't feel bad. They had him, everybody started doing the step with him. That's the limp step, or the step they're using here. Again, this is a modern day dance also. It's done at powwows, local powwows. And it's a ladies' choice dance. So the ladies get to choose their partner. And at most powwows, there's a penalty for the young man if he doesn't dance with a young lady. At one of the local ones here, it's a $20 bill. So a lot of them dance. And if you were at the powwow up at Fort Pierce, up at the Savannas, you could do this too. You could get involved, and you'd be surprised how much fun it is. As you can see tonight, we had more young men than young ladies, so we got a few volunteers to help out. This is one of those the more the merrier dances. is a celebration dance or a happy dance. So all the dancers are supposed to be smiling. All the dancers are supposed to be smiling. The Hitchiti dancers. You want to do it? All right, let's do it one time. Like I said, Native American culture is not dead. If you go to the reservation today, you might see something like this. Some of you older folks will recognize this song. This is called a roller coaster. For those of you who don't, it's called the Land of 1,000 Dances. Old rock and roll tune. This is the part where we work the chiefs to death. The Hitchiti dancers. Thank you very much.